Welcome to the world of Juniper Mountain Coffee, where they believe in the power of direct trade. They work with over 200 multi-generational farmers, cutting out the middleman to bring you the freshest coffee at an affordable price. Their 15 years of experience in roasting coffee, the best coffee on the planet, has resulted in a Q-grade score of 87. This makes them a leader in high-end specialty coffee. Now, to put that in perspective, your green brand, the Hillary Coffees of the world, is about a 60. This is way above that. They also prioritize sustainable coffee farming practices, focusing on conservation to ensure the future of fine coffee drinking. Juniper Mountain is a family-owned business just like mine, steeped in Western hunting tradition and fair chase ethics, so you can feel good about every single sip. Try Juniper Mountain Coffee just like we drink here at Eastmans. Are you an avid hunter looking for the perfect trailer to haul your gear? Look no further than Team Lodge trailers. These trailers are made in South Dakota and for the ultimate hybrid of a camper and a trailer. With the ability to haul your side-by-side ATV, dirt bike, e-bikes, and more, you'll never have to leave your gear behind. They are extremely sturdy with no wind shake or movement when someone is walking in the camper. Plus, they are waterproof and designed by hunters who actually use the product. The bear-proof base camp ensures to safety while out in the wild. You'll also love that these trailers are outfitted with the only accessories and the features you want. Premium components are used in every part of the setups, making Team Lodge trailers the best choice for your outdoor adventures.
Perfect.
Welcome to Eastman's Hunting Journal podcast. I'm your host, Ike Eastman. Today, I got Danny Bolton, who is one of the most interesting Hawaiians I know, for sure. And I met him, 3 years ago, probably. No, it's got to be longer than that. It was pre-COVID. We were at an event together at Glen Everly's ranch, and I got to hang out and share stories and fly fish. And yeah, it was a lot of fun. We were on the same team, and we killed it. So, Danny, with that, you're in Hawaii. You were born in Hawaii, right?
Yes. Yeah, I was born and raised here. And back home right now, I was in the mainland for a little bit for work and different things. But yeah, back home now and just feels good.
So what were you doing over here, the mainland?
Well, all kinds of stuff. I had a job doing some military training, the off-road training that we do. So teaching them mobility, how to drive vehicles without breaking them. If they break, how to fix them. If you get stuck, how to get unstuck. We do week-long trips for them. And then we mixed in some family vacation in there.
Oh, nice.
Went to Glacier and then went up to Banff and Jasper in Canada and got to see mountain goats, got to see bighorn sheep, got to see elk. It's kind of cool in those parks, right? They're they know they're not threatened. So it's good to get up close to the animals and just be able to observe them in somewhat their natural environments, right? Like they're just out eating grass, doing what they do. And definitely a little less wary than they normally would be in a hunting scenario. But it's fun to get in that mind space and just like start picking out points on where you'd pluck this thing off at,
So did you get to go up the Road of the Sun in Glacier?
Yeah, we went up Road to the Sun. That's where we saw the sheep and mountain goats is at the top of that. Hung out.
It's a pretty epic road. I think out of all the parks, I've been to a bunch of them, and of course I live right next to Yellowstone, so we go there a couple times a year. But I think Glacier is my favorite park. It is so beautiful.
Yep. It was gorgeous.
So tell me about driving. You told me, I've known a little bit about your professional driving, but how did you get into that, and what do you do? I've heard some stories, but I know you do the military thing, but how did you get into being a professional driver?
Yeah, I'll keep it short, but basically grew up on quads and dirt bikes when I was a kid. And then I had a truck when I was 12, 13 years old. That was an old broken down truck that the clutch went out on. So I dropped the transmission, put a new clutch in, and was able to drive it. It didn't have seats for a little while. We had like a milk crate strapped down for a seat. And we just my cousins, I have cousins that are older than me. So they were always getting into mischief. And I was just joking with one of them because he had me burning out with my dad's truck. when I was probably 13, 14 years old, like, just brake standing it, holding the brake, just full throttle. And my dad came around the corner and I got busted. And I was like, of course I got busted, but my cousin was there like, do it. Yeah, this is how you do it. So I had those cousins that I grew up with like brothers, and they were really the ones that would take me dirt biking. Kind of got me into trucks. We took a family trip to Glamis sand dunes in California there when I was younger, and it kind of got our eyes open to what's possible as far as suspension goes and vehicles. And so we started building trucks in our backyard and bought a plasma cutter, a MIG welder, and a tubing bender. My cousins had jobs and money to spend on their trucks, so we built pretty much full on pre-runners out of their trucks. And then I never had money to do that, but it kind of strangely rolled into doing some work as well in Hawaii. Here we built a track for Volkswagen because we had built a dirt bike track when we were younger. So they called and were like, hey, we need someone to build this track, and word of mouth was that we were the guys to call.
Jeez.
Built that course, and then that turned into work all over the country, and really not all over the world, but I did go to Japan and stuff for Toyota to do some stuff over there. But really all over the country, just traveling all over, building different courses, working in that industry. I met a friend who does military training for, a lot of the SF guys. So got me in on that. He was very excited that I was down to camp and cook and all that stuff, because that's something we do out there. It's not just like the training that we do. It's also being there with the guys and being able to connect with them, and real similar mindsets to us. A lot of them hunt as well. And then I guess professionally racing, we eventually built our own truck when I was living in the mainland in Nevada. I moved to Nevada for a little bit, and me and my cousin built a race truck, and we're like, we're just going to race it. And because we're racing on dirt bikes, ended up racing professionally for a little while. And
like motocross, or is this like cross country stuff?
No, desert stuff.
Okay.
Long distance desert races. And so a couple times on bikes, I'm decent on a bike, but like long distance like that, it's a whole different game. It's endurance and everything.
Yeah.
And you get caught up to by the trucks, and they want to pass you, and it's pretty sketch. So we're like, let's build a truck, So we built a truck and ended up winning a couple races, and ended up winning a championship against some high level people that, looking back on it, I'm proud of what we did. But in the moment, it was just, we're just doing our thing, showing up to the races every day. And it didn't really mean much at the time, but looking back at some of the people we raced against and the success we had, it's huge. I mean, such a good time in my life. But that's kind of where a lot of my knowledge too stem from, is those races and being able to finish those races.
Right.
Those races.
That's the majority of it's just finishing with a truck that runs.
Exactly. Yeah. A lot of people don't even finish the race. Sometimes it's 50% finishing rate of the people who start. So that's the off-roading. It's kind of been in my blood since I was young, and just continuing to do it for work and any chance I get. And when I go on this camping trip we just went on, taking the girls off road when I can. And
did you have two daughters?
I just have one, my wife and daughter. Yeah.
Okay.
So, yep.
And so so there's a good chance, like a Toyota commercial or something like that. I've seen you there's a good chance you're driving that vehicle if they're doing crazy stuff in the desert or whatever.
Yeah. Sometimes, hopefully more in the future, but, yeah, we did some photo shoots and stuff for them. So that's cool. It's been good. Yeah.
That's really cool. So I know you haven't hunted a ton, but I know that was it last year or the year before, you had some really good success over here on the mainland elk hunting, right?
Yeah, elk hunting's been it for me, other than Hawaii.
Yeah, right.
The guy who got me into bow hunting was originally from Montana, but I met him in Idaho, and he was an elk hunter.
Okay.
And so he's the one who got me into bow hunting. I bow hunt everything here in Hawaii, but then elk hunting's always been something special to me. And yeah, I've been able to shoot some nice bulls. Yeah, one of them was featured in the Eastmans magazine, which is incredible. Thank you guys for that. It's fun to,
that's awesome. We appreciate you sending it in.
Yeah, it's fun to write and tell your stories, and I've always loved telling stories like that and being able to let those creative juices come out, so that was fun. I definitely want to do some more of that in the future, and it's just fun to share those things,
It is cool. So you grew up in Hawaii doing that. You probably fish a lot. You probably, I see a spear gun behind you, so you're probably doing that. So tell us about, I mean, that's like a way of life over there though, isn't it? If you're from there, that's we do outdoor stuff, but that's what we do every day. Is that what you guys are doing?
Yeah, it's we're not that far removed from a hunter-gatherer culture,
right?
So a lot of that is still around. A lot of people still fish and hunt for their food, and obviously we have grocery stores now, but it's still very alive. And you grow up fishing and diving and stuff. It's just something you end up doing, and it's cool to live in a culture like that.
So have you shot a mouflon yet?
Yeah. So the ones, and they're questionable because on the Big Island, there's very few purebred ones left because there's a lot of breeding with the feral sheep that we have here.
Oh, I didn't know you guys had feral sheep. I didn't know that. I thought there was just goats, sheep, or mouflon and pigs.
So when you hear people say like black Hawaiian rams, you'll hear that. Those are kind of just feral sheep that we have here. And what's cool is that the mouflon and the feral rams have such different characteristics. The feral rams will come down, then they'll start flipping out. Whereas, the mouflon, they don't flip. They just kind of go way out, Mickey Mouse like that, and then come back. And so you'll still get some that have those genes where like some of the big movies I've shot are still have that gene, but then you'll see some friends will point out that their body size is a little bit bigger than a purebred mouflon, or sometimes the tail, I guess you can tell by the tail. I'm not super critical. I've shot some that just look exactly like a mouflon, but if you ask some people, they're like, oh, no way, that's not a purebred. They just do still have purebred moufis on Lanai.
Okay.
But that's probably my favorite thing to hunt, just because that was the first real test as a hunter for me as a bow hunter. That was like the first real test because their eyesight is incredible. They're really hard to spot and stalk the areas that you hunt them. It's hard to sneak up on them. So being able to get those down is always a success.
Are they really cagey like the axis deer? I mean, it's almost like they have a sixth sense.
Yes and no. Like they're not quite as jumpy as the axis deer. Like the axis deer, they're just always popping their heads up as if they just smelled something or they just heard something.
Yeah.
And I've watched them from a distance, and there's nothing around, and it's like, dude, what are you freaking out about? But they're just like constantly like that, and when you think you got them dialed and their heads are down and they're eating, all of a sudden one will just pop its head up and like, oh, look around, and then back down. It's like, chill out. But the moufis don't do that as bad, but their eyesight, I've never seen anything like it, because I've seen them to where you can barely see them through the binos and they're already staring at you.
Wow.
So we're talking miles out, and their eyesight is so good, and they'll pick up any little movement. So that's the hardest thing with them.
Wow. So I didn't realize they're crossbred. So they're not native to Hawaii, are they?
No.
They
were brought over. Yeah. So, and the cool thing too is that the hybrid ones, they just call them hybrid sheep that mix.
Okay.
They do get a crazy horn. Like some of the bigger rams, if you go by measurement, that have been shot here are hybrids, because they get that big drop like the mouflons, and then they flip out. They got the thick bases too. So, they're amazing animals.
That's cool. So are you did you draw a tag for for the mainland this year? You elk hunting?
I didn't put in for elk. I got invited to go moose hunting in
Really?
Alaska. Yeah,
With who?
my friend Chad.
Oh,
So
nice.
Chad's been telling me for the last couple of years, and he goes and drives his side by side into some crazy location that most people fly into.
Okay.
And he's like, dude, you got to come get it. And he's kind of a wild man. And I was like, all right, like, and I put it off last year, and I elk hunted. I
Yeah.
never liked missing elk hunting, and the season is in September, so it's kind of one or the other for me.
All right.
But it's like, dude, how can I pass that up?
So when is that? Is that September?
Yeah, September. I think the season is the 7th through the 18th or 17th or something like that.
That'll be awesome. That'll be a
Yeah.
lot of fun. That'll be a
Yeah.
lot of fun. You'll have all kinds of stories after that one. Holy cow. That's
Yeah,
an adventure. You go all the way up there like that. That's a true adventure.
Yeah,
That's
I have
crazy.
no idea what to expect. Absolutely no idea.
Horrible
that's what I
weather.
heard. Oh my God.
Take some good rain gear.
Okay, I better get some good rain gear, some good rain boots, some dry
Yep.
socks.
Yeah, that's awesome. So, are you still doing the coffee gig?
Yeah, my family owns a coffee company. Everything from the farm to the mill to the roaster. I've been kind of stepping away from it these last couple of years. Family's a little hard to work with. I love them to death, but you know how it is with
Oh, yeah.
family. So
I have
been
one
trying
of
to kind of, yeah, just been trying to pave my own way, doing some other things. But I still love roasting coffee. Would probably be the coolest thing I get to do in the company. But for a long time, I ran the coffee mill,
Okay.
and just understanding every part of the process. But it can be pretty routine down there. You just go show up, do the same thing every day, and put your head down, get some work done, which is good. But the roasting process, you definitely get to be a little bit more creative.
Yeah, and you're a creative guy. I've known that about you. You that story you wrote for us was one of those things. I go, I've never looked at elk hunting through a set of eyes like that, which is awesome.
Well,
It's fun.
thank you.
That's cool. Well, I'm excited. If you get a moose, you'll have to send us the photos. We'll run that thing too. Hopefully, it's a giant one. I mean,
Oh my
you have
God.
the chance.
I mean, it has to be pretty big, right? Like
Yeah.
even like a legal moose for non-resident is 50 inches or 3 brown tines or 4?
Yep.
3.
3.
I
Yep.
mean, to me, that's huge already. So I don't know, like anything bigger than that's just going to be like insane for me.
Are you going to archery hunt it?
I think so. Yeah, like for sure. I'm going to archery hunt it. It crossed my brain. Like, so I don't know if you know this about me, Ike, but I've never shot a big game animal with a rifle.
Really?
It's been strictly bow hunting for me. And, but this year that'll change. I'm supposed to do a whitetail hunt.
Oh, perfect.
And I've been, with like Brian up at Hat Creek and some of our other friends who shoot. I've been very fortunate to shoot with some of the best. And I've always loved shooting guns when I was a little kid, shooting 22s and stuff.
Yeah.
And just being real precise. But I definitely do have an itch to scratch with the whole rifle hunting side of things, and just more opportunity, I think, to hunt.
Yeah. That's why I do both. It's just more opportunity. It just extends your season.
Yeah. And so, I love it. So it did cross my mind a little bit. I was like, maybe I shoot one with a rifle, but my friend I'm going with is a bow hunter. Deep down in my heart, all I want to do is bow hunt. And it sounds like a good opportunity for one to come stumbling in.
Yeah, when they're calling like that, if you can find one and he's legal, they at that time of year, I don't want to say dumb because they're not dumb, but they are definitely got something else on their mind, and it makes archery hunting obsolete, or it makes it that option very possible, and it's fun. I mean, it is fun. Moose hunting during the rut, in my opinion, it's more fun than hunting elk, because moose hunting, a lot of it has to do with finding the animal. Once you find the animal and then determine he's legal, then getting him in is not as challenging. It's placing the arrow right, because those things are huge. And then you get on the ground and go, oh my gosh, what am I going to do with all of this? This is a lot of meat. I hope that side by side can pack that much.
Yeah, right. We'll probably be walking back, displace our weight. For the weight of it. And Yeah, I heard you kind of like the back, the hump, right? Like behind, above the lungs.
Yep.
Like there's a lot of meat and spine there, so you got to aim.
Really
I'm still
low.
kind of figuring it out. Aim
Yep.
lower than you think, and
Yep. And you got to hit that pocket right behind their shoulder, or front shoulder. And,
okay.
one of the people don't know this, but one of the easiest ways to kill a moose is if they're quartering away from you. And so you're shooting at their nose, you're shooting up into their cavity. So you're
Mhm.
missing all the ribs. Plus you hit way more stuff. There's just,
Okay.
it's just a lot more stuff. And once you cut that diaphragm, that moose can't breathe as easily or at all. And, the chances of him dying within packable distance is there. But that's cool.
Yeah.
That's so much fun. That's so much fun.
Yeah.
You'll have a blast.
And
Where are you going whitetail hunting?
I got a tag in Kansas, and I also am gonna hunt in Texas.
Oh, cool. That'll be
Mhm.
fun. Texas is fun. I was supposed to go down next week and shoot some pigs, and my life just got too busy. We put it off until November, but I really want to do the pig hunting out of a helicopter with an AR. I just think it is not sporting, but man, does that sound fun.
Yeah, and they have
Just-
so many. I mean, like I can't believe how many pigs they have, and we have a lot of pigs here, but we don't get them in like huge herds like that, and we don't have these giant open fields that they're just running, in big herds.
Did I hear
Yeah.
one of the islands they're trying to kill off everything? Did I hear that just recently?
I mean, yes and no. They've talked about that forever, but they just made it legal, I think, to poison for them. Like
Really?
I think the state is going to poison for them. I can tell you right now, without a doubt, there's no way to ever get rid of the pigs ever.
Yeah.
They are everywhere. I mean, you'll see them next to the beach where
Really?
there's like not any grubs, and then I've seen them up at 8,000-9,000 feet digging through the lava rocks where there's not even any plants, and then they're everywhere in between.
Jeez.
Yeah, they
Jeez.
run right here behind my house. I shoot them right here behind my house. I've seen them at the gas station filling up with gas, and they're out there like digging in the bushes. There's no way you're ever gonna get rid of them. The sheep and the goats, maybe they're a little bit different. You can run them into fences. They're a little bit more out in the open, but the pigs, no way.
Gosh. Are they any good to eat? I've never hunted over there. I've only
Yep.
been to Hawaii once. I've never hunted over there.
Yeah, they're extremely good. So here's the thing: is I've never really eaten pigs in the mainland. I've heard mixed things, but
Yeah.
if you're not eating pigs over here, you're kind of wasting your meat. And a lot of them, like around my place, they're eating macadamia nuts, avocados, mangoes. So you'll get some. I mean, I've shot some with a layer of fat like this on
Oh
them.
my gosh.
Yeah.
That's crazy. That's awesome. I mean, for as far as food goes.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Jeez. So whitetail hunting. What's one of the reasons you hunt? What's the drive? You're obviously passionate about it. Why is that?
Mm-hmm. Oh, well, I guess to just go back to when I was young, it kind of was just in me. And I never got to hunt when I was young other than bird hunting, really. And not bird hunting like you would think, like not a dog and a shotgun.
Like
Like
picking
I'd
them
be
off
let
the
loose.
22.
Yeah, I'd be let loose with a pellet gun. And so like I was pretty good with a pellet gun. And then I would go and just it's funny because thinking back on it now, a lot of what I've learned from hunting is from those days where I'd just sit under a tree and wait for one to land in the tree. And you would have to be smooth enough and slow enough that that bird wouldn't fly out of that tree by the time you pointed that pellet gun at him and shot him.
Yep.
And same with just like just the patience of that and the knowledge of how the birds react and whatnot. So anyway, when I was younger, I used to shoot lots of little birds, and it's funny because it was like, hey, if you kill it, you eat it. And so I used to get these doves, and I used to just rip the breasts out of them. Obviously, I probably should have cooked more out of them, but I just ripped those tiny little breasts out of them.
Yeah.
And I'd just like salt, pepper, and throw them in the microwave, which was like the grossest, chewiest, driest thing ever. But like, it was like, hey, I gotta eat it, And I've eaten like sparrows and stuff too. And it's like, I don't know, you're like 8, 9 years old. And
in a microwave.
so yeah, my culinary skills have definitely come a long ways from there. And so that was it. And then 22, I used to shoot a 22 a lot. and that was like the biggest rifle I've ever shot as a young age. And I didn't get into bow hunting till 2014.
Oh my gosh.
So this was let's see, I'm 38 now. So 29, late 20s, okay? Late 20s. It's something like every kid wants to shoot a bow, right? Like I
Yeah.
remember being a kid and having some janky little bow and wanting to be accurate with it, but never the bow wasn't accurate and like the arrows were all different. And so like I never got into it because I was like, I want to be good at this, but it's not happening.
Right.
And I met this guy in Idaho, a family friend, and I happened to be there September 1st. And
Oh wow.
he was like, dude, opening day of elk season tomorrow. You want to go? And that to me, I'd never really even seen an elk up close or paid attention. I couldn't tell you the difference between an elk and a deer at that point, really.
Wow.
Because from Hawaii, so like they all kind of look the same to me. And he invited me to come with him, just walk out in the woods with him. We didn't see anything, but like the excitement of it was like we could see an elk and this guy could shoot one with a bow. And that was exciting enough to me and he showed me, he's very quiet, not didn't say much, just the basics, but he took me to the archery shop that afternoon because we hunted in the morning. And he's like, "Okay, you need to go buy a bow. Like if you're really into it." And he was left-handed, so I couldn't shoot his bow. So he took me to the archery shop, which his friend worked there in Idaho. And I picked out like a $500 bow that had sights and rest already on it, like the whisker biscuit and everything like that.
Like a diamond or something like that.
Yeah, it's just a cheap Hoyt.
Okay.
And I started shooting that every day when I was at his place. I was there for like 4 days. And just shooting it every day. Obviously, my arms are all sore, like the weird muscles that you use and everything.
Yeah. You're like, I didn't even
And
know I had a muscle right there.
yep, exactly. And he's like, "Hey, take it back to Hawaii with you, shoot, hunt with it, and then next year come back and elk hunt." That's what got me into bow hunting, and that's really like where my passion for hunting began. And if you had to ask me like, why do I hunt? It's just in me. Like I wanted to do it so bad. And when I got that bow, there was no, I never had to think about like, why do I want to do this? It's just something that was just burning inside of me to do. And then the first couple hunts I went on, and when I was finally successful in hunting, I think the first real animal I shot was a pig. I'll never forget it. It was 40 yards when I was good at shooting like 20, 30,
Yeah.
but it came out and I kind of guessed the range, ended up guessing right, and shot this pig double lungs. But sharing that pig with family, cooking, being exciting that I got all this meat. Okay, cool. What am I going to do with all this meat? Cool. Like excited to cook it and share it with friends. You hear people talk about it and the feelings that it gives you, but it's kind of unexplainable. You kind of need to experience it for yourself.
It's
That was it.
fulfilling
Yeah.
above anything else, almost anything else a person can do. It's unbelievably fulfilling.
Yep. And so, yeah, I, can't even explain that feeling, but it was something that was like, hey, this is it. Like if we were living 1,000 years ago, that's what I was meant to be. Like I have no problem carrying the weight of thinking that I could go out and supply meat for my tribe or whatever it is,
Right.
So, then yeah, so I missed elk hunting that next year because I had to work. And then my friend ended up passing away.
Oh, geez.
I was supposed to hunt with him, and in August he was towing a log on his 4x4 or on his quad, towing a log out of a forestry, like a logging road, and somehow flipped his quad and got tangled up in it and
Oh,
basically
geez.
passed away. And so I was there a couple months before helping him get some blinds and stuff set up. We were just cutting some sticks and like basically brushing in certain areas he thought that they would be coming through. And then I was supposed to go up there in September, and that was 2016. And I ended up going. I was like, I gotta go, So put in my first elk hunt by myself. My dad went, and he went out there for part of it because he went up to see his wife and stuff too. So he came out for part of it, but a lot of it was on my own, and ended up hunting 7 days. We ended up hunting 8 days, but I went 6 days without seeing anything, like nothing, but all day. Friends told me before I went, best elk hunting advice I ever got was be up and be out in the woods an hour before any daylight, like any sign of light, and get to where you think they're going to be. Hunt all day, and don't leave the very best spot you found until it's pitch black.
Yep, that's right. So you can't shoot anymore.
Yep. So I did that every single day, and I was beat, man, mentally just exhausted. And Idaho's steep too, right?
And those are long days in September. It doesn't get dark till 8:30, 9 o'clock.
Yep.
It's up at 4. I mean, those are long days.
Yep. So ended up hurting a bugle on my 7th day, which was for sure a bugle, because I think on day 5 I got bugled in by a hunter. And I thought I was on to something, and then it's, my bugle that I was chasing started turning to cow calls. And I was like, this seems a little odd. Then a guy popped out at 50 yards and it's like, hey, like, dang it.
Yeah. You were both like, dang it.
Yep. So heard him bugle on 7th day, and ended up sneaking into him and his whole herd on the 8th day, and getting a nice herd bull. He's a 6x6, but his 6 points are pretty small, but still, I mean, I was hooked from there.
Yeah, I'll bet.
And yeah,
I'll bet. So where in Idaho was it? Northern Idaho?
Northern Idaho.
Okay.
Yeah, where it's real wooded.
Yeah. A lot of logging roads, and
never used my binos once.
Really? Wait, you couldn't probably see that far.
Couldn't see that far. I think the farthest shot you could ever squeeze through any of that stuff was 70 yards. I ended up shooting the bull at 50 yards through a little tiny lane. It's just so wooded and thick up there.
Yeah, that's awesome. So let's talk about spear fishing and that kind of stuff, because I've noticed you do a lot of water stuff. For my audience, what is spear fishing? How do you do it? And can anybody do it? Do you have to have a diver's license?
No, you don't need a fishing license here in Hawaii. You don't need a dive license, none of that. So it's illegal to spearfish with a dive tank. I'll start with that. So all the spearfishing is free diving, where you just hold your breath.
Okay.
So if you've ever been snorkeling, you're just with a mask and snorkel, breathing on the surface. Anybody can do it. The way everybody starts here is you start with a Hawaiian sling, which is, we call it a 3-prong. Basically a carbon stick with a frog gig on the end, right? It's 3 prongs. And then the other end's got a rubber band on it, and you load that rubber band, and when you let it go, that thing goes flying. That's how everybody learns here. And we still do it for certain type of fish. Certain fish live under rocks, close proximity, and you want to reload quickly and stuff. That's kind of the way to go. That's how everybody starts. Then you graduate to a spear gun, which again, I didn't get into till I was older, just because I always had the 3-prong. And then you basically, with a spear gun, you can shoot further, and you can shoot bigger fish, thicker. If you shoot them with that 3-prong, it's going to go in, but there's nothing holding it with the 3-prong. It's just those prongs wedge out and hold little fish on.
Okay.
But with a spear gun, it's got a barb on the end that goes through the meat, and then the barb flops out and keeps that thing from sliding off.
And you have some sort of cable or something on that spear, right?
Yep. So your spear gun. So picture a rifle.
Yeah.
And then, or no, even easier, picture a bow fishing setup.
Okay.
So you got a bow, you got the arrow, and then the arrow's got a string attached to it onto a reel.
Right.
It's essentially that. You got a spear gun that looks like a gun. It's got a spear shaft on it. At the end of the spear shaft is a just monofilament, just thick fishing line.
Okay.
And you got it wrapped in a way that when you first shoot, there's no tension on it when it shoots out, so that the shaft can fly. And then once it reaches a certain distance, it hits that reel. and that's kind of at the end of your shooting distance anyway. So if you do shoot something and it swims away, it's on the reel. And then you're kind of just hand lining. You're not reeling it in. You're kind of just hand lining it in. You clean it all up after. The other technique, if you're shooting really big fish, is you don't put them on a reel because you risk running out of line and then that thing just taking your gun.
Right.
You set them up on a breakaway float. So what it is your spear shaft shoots through the fish swims away, and then that whole thing disconnects from your gun and it tethers to a buoy on the surface.
Oh, so then you just find the buoy.
Yeah, it can fight the buoy. So you're towing around this buoy with you, and when you shoot that fish, it breaks away from your gun, and then that fish can just fight off that buoy for a little bit, and it won't be able to swim it down, and then you can just grab that buoy and start pulling it in.
How big because this mostly is tuna fish, isn't it?
No, all kinds of different shit, but you can shoot, I've seen people shoot couple 100-pound marlin.
No kidding.
Big tuna. Yep. And then some of the funner stuff for me is just shooting some of the 30, 40-pound or even 20-pound mai-mais and onos and stuff too, which are still pelagic fish. They're still deep sea fish.
Yeah.
But they're fun and they're more common to see.
That's awesome. So you shoot one with a buoy. How long do they fight the buoy? I mean, is it because I know guys catching marlin, they could fight those things for hours.
Yeah, I've heard. So I never shot a marlin. I've had friends fight them for hours.
You're kidding.
Yeah. To where one friend told me this story of he shot this big marlin offshore and it dragged him out to sea, and it was so big, like every time he'd get close to it, it'd just run away. So he called it like walking the dog. So like it's doing big circles around him. And every time it swim towards shore, he would swim as hard as he could towards shore. And then as it would circle back out, he'd try to just hold his ground until it started swimming back towards shore, and he'd swim with it. So he's just trying to get
closer and closer. Jeez, that sounds dangerous as hell.
Yeah. Yeah. And then, you hope a shark doesn't show up and want to eat it, because sharks will know when fish are wounded. It's kind of like like a coyote call or a predator call. Like if something's wounded, those predators know.
Yep. Oh, they're like, oh, free meal.
Yep, exactly.
Quick meal.
So they come running in. Yep.
Jeez. So have you ever had an encounter with a shark doing that?
Oh yeah, we dove yesterday and I saw 2 sharks. And my friend shot a fish that went into a hole. I almost got my finger bit off by an eel because it went into a hole and then it got stuck in there, and his shooting line was stuck in there. So he was down for a long time trying to get it out. He ran out of breath, came up. I went down and his line was sticking out of the hole. So I ran my hand along the line and got it to like the entrance of the hole and was pulling. And all of a sudden an eel came swimming out and was like nipping at my finger.
Oh my gosh.
Which I know friends who have lost fingertips from them. And so I was like, whoa, I've had to pull back and like swim back up. And we ended up just ripping it out.
Cut the line, call it a day.
Yeah. So then like that same whole scenario, my friend ripped that line out of that fish because it was stuck in that hole. Yeah. And that eel was in there. And a shark showed up halfway through that because he sensed all the commotion. And so I was having to watch my friend, and we had this like 8-foot shark circling us because he knew something was struggling. And when they're I feel a lot better when they're on the bottom, because it's like down there where the fish is, like looking for the fish. And I was on the surface watching my friend on the bottom, but that shark eventually made its way to the surface and was kind of circling the surface for a little bit. So I was just having to keep an eye on it. And I've had them eat my stuff right off my spear, like you shoot a fish. And
how big a shark is it?
It depends. All sizes, dude. I've dealt with
the
one we saw, like 8 feet. Yeah, like 8 feet.
Oh my gosh, what kind of shark was it? A nurse shark?
I think it was a gray reef shark. I didn't get a super good look at it. I just know it had a real thick body.
Yeah.
It probably weighed 300, 400 pounds.
Ugh.
Yeah.
No thanks.
Yeah.
I'll take my grizzly bears every day. You can have the shark. The grizzly bears dry land. I'm not going to drown too. Jeez.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. Grizzlies scare me too. But they kind of are what they are.
Yeah, that's
I
right.
mean, it just,
That's right. When it's your time, right?
yeah, exactly. I mean, I hope I go quick.
Yeah. So you have one daughter. How old is she?
Yes, she's 12.
12. Oh, that's a fun age.
No, dude. She's 13. She just turned 13.
You're on the
Yeah,
You're
yeah,
right where I am. My oldest is 13, and she's just starting to be a pistol, or I just want to take her
yep,
out in the back and just tie her to a tree and leave her for the bear.
yep. Yeah, it's crazy. I mean, it's just comes in waves, right?
Yeah,
And
that's right. I heard it. I
try to
heard
make
it.
the most of it.
I heard it really good the other day. I have this industry friend that was telling me about. He's got grown kids, and he was asking about mine. And he goes, "Oh yeah, 13 is about the time they go in the tunnel." I go, "The what?" He goes, "Oh, from 13 to 26, they're in a tunnel." That's all. That's what and he goes, "What your wife and your job is just to be a little light every once in a while in that tunnel, because they come out the other end a completely different person than they went in." He said, "But it's dark in there and it's scary in there."
That's funny. Yeah, it's just crazy the things that they focus on and the things they think are important and just mean everything to them in that moment.
Well, and the things that they're dealing with, we never had to deal with: social media and cell
Mhm.
phones and the digital bullying and all that crap that didn't exist when when we were around. I was teasing her the other day because there's an app called Life 360, which then you can track your kid, and it's used for we use it because of her driving, so I know exactly where she is, and it
Yep.
saved our butt a couple times with lost cell phones on basketball buses and crap like that. But
Yeah, yeah.
uh, I teased my wife. I said, our parents didn't have this. We were
Mhm.
like left in the morning, and my mom would be say lunch is at noon, so come back. And she had no idea where we were for 4 or 5 hours. No idea
Yeah,
that we were swimming the Snake River, or almost drowned, or we decided to have a pellet gun fight.
yep.
Just stupid things.
Yeah, just one pump, no big
Yeah,
deal.
yeah. One pump's fine. I still have
Yeah.
scars from that.
Yep.
You double pumped that. Well, it was an accident. Yeah, it was. But yeah, it's crazy, and the stuff that they're having to deal with now, as kids is just overwhelming. Just the ability to watch, whatever they want endlessly is just
Mhm.
crazy. It's just crazy.
Yeah, it's a
So,
different world.
so she seventh grade, eighth grade.
She will be in 8th grade this year.
Yeah, same with mine. Yeah, that's
Mhm.
awesome. That's awesome. What
Yeah.
is she into, basketball or
Soccer.
soccer? Mine is
Yeah.
too. She's a
Yeah.
huge soccer fan.
Yep.
They're really
Loves it.
cool. Yeah,
Yeah.
mine's really good, and a huge Alex Morgan fan, and that's cool. That's really cool.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
so she was a gymnast for a long time, since she was young. She did gymnastics, which is amazing because it just builds so many core muscles and definitely builds self-discipline,
Hmm.
'cause it's pretty strict. So did that for a long time and then just ended up kind of falling out of love with it because a lot of her friends that she grew up with were older in gymnastics too. And I think that they kind of they went on, and a lot of her friends play soccer and she just wanted something different. So
Right.
been doing the soccer thing for a while and played yesterday and just loves it, man. Just loves it.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, I bet over there you guys can play 24, 7 days a week all
Oh yeah,
year.
no problem.
That's our problem. We play for 2 months in the spring and 2 months in the fall, and that's what we get. And she's like, I don't know if she thinks she's gonna go to college and play soccer. I'm like, I don't think we have long enough seasons here for you to get those skill
Yeah.
sets. But whatever, let her dream. It's okay.
Yeah.
So
Yep.
that's
You
cool.
never know.
That's cool. So other big plans coming up? You guys doing any crazy trips to Japan with Toyota or any of that stuff? Any
Um,
races?
Yeah, I mean, just the moose hunt. This is the next big one. And well, first I got to go work in Colorado and in Moab area. So we're training some military guys, and then got a quick wedding in Florida. So I'm gonna go to Florida for a wedding, then fly straight from there to Alaska, do the
Jeez.
moose hunt. Then I got those whitetail hunts lined up, and that'll be fun. Like I've never shot a whitetail either,
Yeah,
and
that'll be awesome.
nothing. All my mainland hunts have just been elk. Like,
Mm,
so
Hopefully you like sitting in a tree, because that's what they do all
yeah,
day.
yeah, I know. I don't. But like,
Get some good games on your cell phone.
yeah, that's what it takes to kill them. I'm down, and I'm want to learn. I'm eager to learn all these new ways that people hunt and be around new people and things like that.
Yeah.
New experiences. So that'll be exciting.
So what's one of the things that you're like just really, other than hunting, because we've kind of talked about that, but what are some of the things you're really passionate about? You're like, what are you getting up in the morning thinking about?
Oh, honestly, part of it is like just bettering myself all the time. I'm always, as selfish as this sounds, like you hear people, you can't take care of others until you take care of yourself. So I definitely make it a point of mine to try be the one that's taking care of others, but I know that I need to always be pushing myself to be better as well. So physically and stuff, I wake up thinking like, oh, I gotta shoot my bow today, or I gotta make sure I get my workout in, and then kind of sharing the knowledge that I have. I love sharing that with people, and I've learned a lot of things the hard way, and I wish I had somebody there to teach me. And so I try my best to teach others, or at least just be there and try to motivate or inspire others to get after the things that they love, whether it be bow hunting or spear fishing or whatever it is. If I have knowledge in that area, I try my best to pass that on. So part of that will be we're trying to get a TV show going, which is going to be exciting. I'm working with Ricky from Sornex.
Okay.
And we got some other cool stuff in the works. So that'll be fun to kind of share some of the things that we'll be doing and share some of the trips and some of the hunts and some of the places that we want to go and cook. And it'll be a blast. So
are you going to film this? Are you going to film your moose hunt?
I think we're just going to take photos. I'm trying to get, so like I didn't line up someone to come up there. So I'm trying to get my cousin to come up and just shoot photos, and that's it. Just because, I mean, dude, the whole production side of things, and this just as well as anybody, it's expensive.
It is.
Hiring photographers and videographers, and I love them to death, but it is expensive. So I need to lean on some of the companies that I work with to help with that. And the moose hunt thing. I don't know that much about moose hunting. It does seem a little bit like there's a lot of downtime.
Yes.
And so I thought maybe that would just be a good one just to document, with just not try making anything super special out of it, but shoot photos and videos and everything like that. But as far as the story goes, I mean, we're gonna be up there for the whole season.
Wow.
So like I figure if I'm going, I'm going, I'm not going to go up there for 5 days and then think like, oh shucks, I didn't get one. It's like,
should have been here yesterday.
There. Yeah. It's like, if I'm up there, I'm going. That's the way I am. Like, if I'm going to get after something, I'm going to do whatever I can to make it happen. So we're going for the full season. So yeah, we'll see. We're going to try to document that, and then some of the whitetail hunt stuff, but more of the TV show stuff will be planning for next year.
That's cool. So are you hoping to get it on linear TV, or is it going to be a digital YouTube type deal?
Most likely it'll be YouTube.
Okay. Yeah.
But we're kind of open to this point. We have some things in the works to work with some people that have some exposure. So hoping to make that happen. And if that doesn't happen, we'll just go a different route. And we're pretty open to it. I feel like the world is as weird as it is kind of always hungry for that content and that entertainment.
Yeah.
It's something I've always liked doing. I've always liked making movies since I was a younger, and I don't mind it. I don't mind sharing my failures and my success. It doesn't bother me any. So it should be fun.
Yeah, that's awesome. Keep us in the loop on that. When you launch it and stuff, we'll definitely help you. That's pretty cool.
Oh, definitely.
It's a lot of fun. So what are you going to be thinking about on your deathbed? If you, God willing, you have the ability to, be on a deathbed and it doesn't happen tragically quick, what's Danny going to be thinking about?
Yeah, well, I do hope it happens quick.
You and me both. Yeah. I mean, not shark quick. I don't want to do that, but
I mean, I'll take it. If it's quick, I'll take it any way I can get it. Like the thought of dying in a hospital is probably one of the things I don't think about, but I definitely don't want to go through.
Yeah.
Um, but I still I think about this kind of stuff. Um, even though I'm not on my deathbed, but I guess maybe things will change when I'm on my deathbed. But just trying to live without regret. Uh, so constantly reminding myself, like, do things. Well, one is like try not to do things that you will regret, right?
Right. Yeah.
But if you do something stupid, or you said something stupid, or you made someone feel a certain way, is like, uh, you try to make that up, so you're not living with that regret or that feeling. And on my deathbed, I don't know, dude. I've been pretty blessed in my life, and I feel like I've dodged the bullet a couple times already. So I feel very, very blessed to be alive today. To where I feel like I'm already on bonus time, which is strange to say.
Yeah.
I just I just feel so satisfied in my life. I guess right now the biggest thing I'm making sure I'm still around for is just family.
Yeah.
I have a ton of things that I want to do personally, of course, but like all those things, if I don't do them, they're not going to be the end of the world to me. But if I'm not around for my wife and my daughter, then that could kind of eat at me. So I'm definitely probably going to be thinking about family and making sure that I treated them right and spent the time with them. And everybody says it, like, it goes by so fast.
Yeah.
And my daughter just turned 13, and me and my wife were just sitting there like, everybody tells you how fast it goes by, but it it just like a snap of the fingers, right? They were just kids. They were just babies.
Yeah.
It felt like a year ago they were just babies. And I told my wife sitting there, I was like, are we going to be sitting right here, but, be 80 years old tomorrow? Like, that's what it's going to feel like.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm going
100%.
to be 80, and I'm going to be sitting here going, damn, what happened?
Yeah, hopefully with grandkids.
Yeah.
I tease my kids all the time. The only reason I said don't do this prematurely, but the only reason I had children was to have grandchildren. You know that, right? That doesn't mean
Yep.
tomorrow, though.
Yep. Totally. Yeah. It'll be fun. Yeah. That's a tough question.
Yeah,
It def-
that's a hard one. It's one of those things that you don't think of. A lot of people don't think about it, and the reason I ask all my guests that is so that I had Glenn Eberly on, and obviously that question wasn't needed to be asked because at that moment he was there.
yes.
But I ask that question so that my audience thinks about it, because it is something that we should be conscious about. Like you said, every single day, living without regret, living for a purpose, and get your butt up off the couch and go be productive and do it for a reason. If it's your family, if it's whatever, if it's for yourself, like you were talking about, got to get my workout in. I got to shoot reps on my bow. And yeah, that's it is tough, but I think it's good for people to hear, okay, I'm not alone. I do need
Yeah.
to be thinking about that.
Yeah. Glenn's a special one.
Yeah.
I just saw him maybe a month ago, and I was talking to him about his whole journey and kind of like what he learned through the whole thing. And I asked him this question because he was talking about living without stress, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I asked him what was it, stress or yeah, I think it was. I just asked him, what's the opposite of stress? Like, if you don't live with stress, what is that?
Stress free.
Yeah, stress free. But he was like, peace. You
Yeah.
live at
Yeah.
peace, and just happy with whatever happens throughout the day, no matter, not happy, but just not let it get to you, right? Like, you're dealing with some difficult person or dealing with a difficult situation. Speaking of that, my friends just had their house burnt down last night in
Oh
Maui,
my gosh.
and businesses and everything. So I don't know. He's got 3 kids, and
Everybody's
I don't know how.
okay.
Yeah, everybody's okay, but I don't know how you'd be at peace with that. Like, yeah, there's crazy fires in Maui right now. Like, the whole town got burnt down.
From what?
Fires. It's just like we have this storm that's coming through right now. You might be able to hear it's a little windy, but it. So we had crazy winds, and it's been dry, and fire started and torched the whole town.
You're
All
kidding.
Lahaina, yeah, all Lahaina is burnt. You can look it up, but Anyway,
I
talking
didn't
with
even know
Glenn.
that.
Yeah, talking with Glenn, he's a special one, and he's definitely one that I've always been inspired by his mindset on how he handles things. And
Yeah.
so I've always tried to talk to people like that and
Yeah.
just be inspired by them and learn from them. There's a lot we can learn from other people's ways that they live their life.
Yeah. Yeah. That's awesome. That's awesome. The inspiration of other people's, you're inspiring because you're the guy that's motivating me, man. I didn't work out this morning. I gotta do it tomorrow, that kind of stuff. And just listening to other people's stories. So everybody's fine, but the whole town burned down. That is absolutely crazy. Absolutely
Crazy.
crazy. I don't know how you
Yeah.
come back for that. I mean,
I
that's
don't know. I mean, I seen helicopter footage of it, and it doesn't look good. And I knew my friend had a house there and his business and everything, but we didn't hear from him all last night. And so I kind of just was praying for them and
yeah.
kind of just text this morning. I was like, "Hey, are you okay?" That's all I want to know. And he's like, "Yeah, all family's good. House is gone. Business is gone. People were jumping into the harbor to escape the flames
Jeez.
into the water." And he said they had to save like 100 people because the fire department and the police department was so overwhelmed.
Wow.
So yeah, it just puts stuff into perspective. Just because I was just FaceTiming him, not that long, like a week ago, and when he's sitting in his house and like had no idea that all that stuff was going to be gone.
Gosh, jeez.
So just
That's sad.
yeah,
That's
just
sad.
puts things in perspective. I don't know. It's like we have all these issues, but do we really have, real issues? So just lots to be thankful for,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
I'm happy they're safe. And some people weren't safe. I know there's guaranteed people that died because I know I've seen videos of people laying on the streets. It didn't look good. So I don't know what the news, I'm sure will cover it, but
Mm,
it did not look good.
mm. That's crazy. I'm sorry for all that, man.
Yep.
So, one of the other questions that I ask almost everybody
Uh-huh.
is, what's one thing that you would, well, one thing that you want to share with a broader audience about you or about life or about what you know?
Oh man. Um,
Another one, right?
yeah, another deep one, huh? Um,
How do you get a
I
truck
don't know.
unstuck in the sand?
Yeah, yeah, that's not too hard. Like the first thing I would do is I would lower the tire pressure down. Would be the first thing I do, and then make sure you're not giving it too much gas because you're just going to dig yourself down deeper. You just got to go slow. Um, but as far as diving in a little bit deeper on what I think people should know is that the people that are around you, your community, are the most important thing in your life. Like, my friend's house is gone. I feel for him, but that can, material things will come and go. The people that you love, the people that surround you, your friends, your family, that's it. Like, that's what I've tried to focus my life on, is building those relationships with those people. And it's not easy.
Yeah.
It's not easy, but that is what is going to be the life changer for me. And when I sit back and think like what I'll be proud of is just the relationship that I've been able to keep with the people that really mean something to me, and get pouring myself into them. Um, and it's tough. Like, this is crazy. Just the life is cruel, but I just had another friend reach out to me who was contemplating suicide. This was like a week ago.
You're kidding.
And there's other people out there. That's why I say this is like, there's other people out there in that situation. It's like that. There's no situation in the world that's ever going to be better with you out without you there. Like, people don't realize how much of an impact they can have on other people. And so we need to be there for those that are struggling, but you also need to be there for yourself. And the best thing that person could ever did was reach out to somebody. And so people, if that's one thing that I think that everybody should know, is that take care of the ones around you, the people that you love. That's it.
Yeah. Don't
And
be afraid to answer the phone or make that phone call either. Cause that's
absolutely.
have those difficult conversations, because those difficult conversations are how you grow, number one. And that's also how you change. And that's also how you get confidence and reliability, and, you know, people can help people. That's awesome. That's really,
Yeah.
really cool. It's very insightful.
Yeah. And I mean, I'm not saying that like the suicide stuff, like I'm not doing it for attention or anything. It's like, dude, I'm just saying it because people out there I know are in that same situation. It's like, there's some dark places out there and you got to dig yourself out of them. And the people around you, you'd be amazed at how much love and support you have. And if you're feeling that way, just call somebody, dude. Like that's the worst thing you can do is to think that you're alone. That's
Yeah.
the worst thing you can do.
Yeah. That's 100%. That's 100%. So how long have you and your wife been married?
16 years, dude. My
16.
wedding anniversary. No, not yet, but my wedding anniversary is on Friday.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah,
16 years. Did you
16 years.
did you ever think you'd last this long?
Yeah. I mean, I went into it thinking it was going to be a lifetime, but definitely it's like every year that goes by, you're like, damn, this is some work.
Yeah.
And I love her to death. And like one of those things with relationships, it just takes work.
Yep. That's right. You got to
And
work on it
it's
constantly.
work on it constantly, and it's been the best it's ever been,
I
which
always
is
tell
amazing.
I always tell people the first 7 years is a lot of fun. Second 7 years is a lot of work. And then then the 7 years after that, the third and the fourth, get easier and easier and easier, and a lot more fun. A lot more
Yeah.
fun than any of the other 7.
Yeah.
But the first one was fun, second one's pretty rough, in my opinion.
Yeah. Yeah. And I wonder if part of that too is because in that second 7 years is like when you're starting to have kids and there's a
Yeah.
lot more responsibilities on yourself too, right?
Life is crazy. You're in that,
Yeah.
you know, in that really busy world. You're at that age that life is busy, and yeah, you're probably right. Yeah.
But yeah, it's marriage is a special thing, and it's nice to have someone else there that's got your
Yeah.
back.
Sit on the porch when you're 80 and look at your grandkids and go, "Oh, that was like yesterday."
Yeah, it's crazy.
That is cool.
Yeah,
Well, I appreciate the time, man, and
of course.
you know, good luck this fall. If you get a whitetail or moose or both, you know, send
Yeah,
me photos. I'm excited to
I
hear the
will.
story. It'll be an epic adventure either way.
Yeah, yeah, we'll keep in touch.
Yeah,
I always love
absolutely.
keeping in touch with you and all the adventures that you're on and everything you guys do there at Eastmans is amazing, and I love that. Just pushing hunting,
Yeah,
and like it's a very important part of our culture, and people want to think it's not, but it is. And
yeah.
so, all the more we can do to push it, the better.
So so you have Instagram, I know, because I follow it. What is
Mhm.
your handle on Instagram?
It's just Danny Bolton, so DANNYBOLTON, and then you could also type in Boarman too, and that shows up.
Foreman too.
Yeah,
You spend most of your time on that, or you use a Facebook user as well?
I do have a Facebook. I think one of them was linked to it for a little while, but I barely am ever on Facebook.
Yeah.
Yeah, so mainly just Instagram, maybe one day YouTube, but like not super excited to start a YouTube, but I am in a different, like I'm not, like
You're like, I don't need another thing to do.
100%. I don't mind sharing the videos and stuff. It's just a lot of work.
Yeah.
And I don't need to be chasing it. But Instagram is probably the number one spot. And I try to be pretty available to people who want to know about hunting or know about spearfishing, and they got questions. And I've been there. I've been the person that wanted to know all those answers.
Yeah.
And didn't know who to ask. And I was thankful to ask a few people who gave me insight that, is priceless.
Yeah.
So
That's awesome. Well, I appreciate your time. I won't take any more of it. You have a good rest of your day. I know it's morning there, isn't it? Still.
Yeah, it's still, I think it's 11 something.
Yeah, that's perfect.
Yeah.
That's nice. You got the whole day. I'm wrapping up. You're just getting started. That's awesome.
Just getting started. Yeah. Appreciate everything, Ike. And
Yeah.
we'll keep in touch.
All right. Thanks, Danny.
All right. See you, buddy.